Good to see you all, guys. I hope we'll have a fun. Like I mentioned on Newton Talk, my plan is to run the meetings every month. So I hope you will like it and we'll have a just, casual meetings for fun. I just put a few topics from my side, but it's nothing like like a super important. I know that few people just join us recently on Newton Talk and on the other groups on Discords, and they ask about how to connect Newton to the modern computer. So the topic is, you know, all the time active. Yeah. So I just prepare show short update about this. Yeah, to show what I have, how I connect. Probably you do the same, but it's good to have a kind of options. But I'm super excited about updates. The new Einstein update, Matthias, because I saw you publish on the GitHub. That was yesterday or 2 days ago, yeah?
Yeah, that was yesterday. It's not a huge thing. We were talking about how to integrate graphics into a source code in Newton script, and I added a command so you can import a PNG currently in black and white, no grayscale.
Wow, nice, nice. So you will you be able to show us later on?
Sure, of course.
Great, awesome. So, okay. So I'm gonna start with my, cables, etc., and I'm gonna give you a voice later on because your stuff is way uh, uh, interesting. So I'm gonna switch off my camera. I'm gonna go to my other desk. No, there. All right. Cool. Let me change my chair. I have very small room here. Okay. So now you should see me, yeah, in another camera. And this is my desk, so I'm gonna use this one. So I'm gonna start with the cables. Obviously, except the how to connect to the modern computer. Obviously, USB, some kind of adapters, etc., etc. So people have a different options. Um, I think there is no best way unless you have different idea, guys. So please correct me if I will say something wrong, or I will do not mention about something. So please correct me, because yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way, but it's always bunch of cables. So standard cable. I'm not sure if you see. Yeah, you should see something. I'm gonna try to zoom in actually a little. Give me a second. No. Yeah. So I have a bunch of cables. Obviously, some of them are not very popular now on um, on eBay, and some people don't have it. I'm very lucky that I have this cable for Newton 2000 and 2100. So that cable have like a proper interconnect connector on one side, and other side is a standard RS232. So it's an easy way to connect to the other cables. So I have different version of that cable that I managed some time ago. I bought actually, this is the same cable. So so the connector, yeah, the connector, I need to be here. The connector is fit to the Newton very well. And on the other side, I managed to buy that kind of cable. So from the other side, you have RS232 and USB-C, and it's working perfectly fine with that cable. There's no issue. I'm using this is worth to say. I'm using macOS still to connect to my Newtons because I'm working every day with the Macs, so I'm not using Windows very often. On the Windows, it's an issue because the uh, NCU software that the version that exists and you can run on even on the modern Windows is very dodgy and it's not working very well. So I just drop it. Yeah, Tom probably will be able to tell us a little more because Tom recently get USB cable from me, and he is a Linux user, so he managed to configure a few things. So I'm gonna give a voice later on to Tom to update about how to connect Newton um, to Linux. Yeah. So I have that kind of cable, and the cable you probably most of you know it's that one. I managed to find this. The quick story is that I managed to find a guy in China who just manufactured them for me. So it's like a USB cable to standard Newton port, and obviously, if you want to connect that cable to Newton 2000s or eMate, you need to use dongle. You need to have dongle. So this is the one issue. Could be nice to have kind of combination of that, yeah, to have a USB and also interconnect. But yeah, this connector is another problem because it's not available. So that cable is really great because that part with the USB contain FTDI chipset, original one, so it's working like a charm without any drivers. You don't need to install any drivers on the computer, on the Mac or Windows, because the device is recognized properly as a serial port, and then you can just plug into Newton, and it's working really great. I tested even with the classic. I don't remember which version of classic Mac OS it was, but the version that have a USB support. So it's not like a very old, like a System 7 or something. I think more recent, like a System 9 or something like this. But it's working. If your old Mac have a USB, so you can even use that cable, and will be properly recognized in the system. So it's possible to connect and use that system. So it's a kind of option. But my goal was to have cable that I don't need any drivers on Mac OS and also on Newton. So we can connect right away to the Newton. So it's working really nice. So I'm gonna give you some
Raoul,
maybe yes.
are these things actually for sale?
Yes, I have still like three cables left. So probably I need to order more from this guy, but I still have three cables. So yeah, I have some of them, and a few people bought that cable from me because yeah, it's working like a charm. So
Yeah.
there is no issue. So if you need one, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
This is really cool. I would love to connect it or somehow get something going that connects directly to the 2000, but that's already really nice to make up for the missing dongles.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
it.
but the problem is with that connector, yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not available. I'm trying to because a few years ago some kind of guy from China contact me, and I managed to buy 30 chipset with the memory for Newton 2000 to upgrade to 2100. Yeah, and he told me that they have access to kind of old stocks of the connectors, old ICs, etc., etc. Sometimes. So I thinking about to find his this contact and ask him if he could dig out maybe somewhere the connectors.
Well, the hacking version that I gave out last time, it
Yeah.
basically works. It just doesn't interlock. So, but it's very hacky. But at least it connects.
All right.
But yeah, getting the original plugs would be really wonderful. But I know that they don't manufacture them anymore. Even if you ask for 600, they still say, nah, that's not enough. You would
So
have to
how many they want? They expect like a 10,000 or something like
I
this?
think they would have, they probably threw away the dies and would have to do brand new dies. And I think a die is like a few thousand or something.
Right. So it's completely not worth
Nah.
for them, yeah, to even start it. Especially nobody used that connector anymore, yeah? Tom, you can say that because you're the fresh user of this cable.
Yep. It plugs straight into the Newton. No problem with that end, and recognized straight away on the computer side. Doesn't need any drivers. All the software just picked it up straight away. So yeah,
Very cool.
Recommend it. You can obviously construct your own serial cable, solder things together, get a adapter from eBay or your local electronics shop to turn it into USB. But it's a lot more convenient to have someone do it for you. I can remember back in the day in the 90s when I first got my Newton, building my own serial cable for my computer at the time, and yeah, it never seemed to work quite right. So I'm very impressed with these ones.
I mean, this cable is nothing magical. It's the whole trick is to have a proper chipset to convert USB to serial, and that's it. Yeah, without any additional drivers, and that's it. So there is nothing magical inside of this device, just the proper chipset. And maybe because I just give up now with the trying to find that bloody dongle, but I'm gonna switch to the desktop. So I'm gonna show you what is important when you try to, because there is a few cables available that probably could work, but what you need to do to check if you have proper chipset, your chipset need to report in the macOS system. I'm gonna go to the system information. I'm gonna show you here. So this chipset, for example, report as a FT231X. The important thing is that must be original FTDI chipset, not any other controller, and that's it. So if you manage to find that kind of the cable with that kind of chipset, it's a 99% that it will work. Yeah, this is, for example, I'm gonna switch to the different camera. This is for example the same situation with this cable. I'm gonna untangle that cable. So this one is, for example, I'm gonna try to show you Digitus. I'm not sure if you see that. Yeah. So this is USB-C, but it doesn't matter. It's working as a normal USB. So an adapter, it will be fine. So for example, this cable I managed to find and contain the same electronics inside, original FTDI, and this is how it's working. Yeah. Yes, that's the right camera. I have a weird setup here. So nothing fancy, and you just can connect. Yeah, but this USB cable is really cool because no drivers. Yeah. So that was very short demo. Another option is to use network card, so Wi-Fi card with Newton, and then you can use. I'm gonna show you on the screen. I'm gonna bring my Newton, and for example, if we bring dock and after you have ability to connect your Newton and upload some software, you can install additional package that allows you to connect your Newton over TCP/IP protocol. So in the dock, if you install the right packages, you have that kind of options, and you can use not the serial port but TCP/IP, and obviously you need to configure and net connect to your computer, and you can get connection via LAN card or via Wi-Fi card. Yeah, I don't have here Wi-Fi card installed, but that's working very well. Yeah, so this is another option for this. And anyone use that option to connect your Newton via Wi-Fi, for example, and install the software, or you just use the cables?
I'm working on it. I got the Wi-Fi card, but I still need to install the software for it.
All right, okay. The
Actually,
problem.
I have, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got mine working. So I have this, it's a Farallon Skyline card, and I have all the drivers for it. And then I have a PowerBook G4 titanium with a Wi-Fi airport card, and I'm able to use Newton connection utilities, backup, install. I can do everything just with Wi-Fi.
All right, that's nice.
Very nice.
That's
that's
nice.
the way I used to prefer to do it, but these days I've been just sort of using serial.
I mean, sometimes it's just easier, yeah, because it's more stable. Yeah, Wi-Fi sometimes is dodgy, I must admit. and you know, dropping connection or something like this. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's like that, but sometimes it's really problematic. But yeah, this is another option. Yeah. What else I want to show you quickly, if we talk about connection? Recently, I believe I paused that video, but I'm gonna try to find quickly on my computer, if you give me a second, because I didn't prepare that very well. There's a guy, Kevin, who managed to design PC card, and he published a few days ago the video about this. So I'm gonna show you that in a second. And I'm gonna publish later on the link to that video. So you should see. So what this guy did, he used like I'm not sure, Matthias, probably you will tell what kind of device is it. He used that device to create connection, Wi-Fi connection with the modern access points, Wi-Fi access points. So with the encryption and everything. So that device basically acting as a Wi-Fi card, but Newton see it as a network card, NE2000. So probably there's no need to install any drivers on the Newton side to make it work. Am I correct, Matthias?
I just saw this like 15 minutes ago and checked on the page, and what it does is it's a complex logic device inside. It's printed circuit boards, PCMCIA that you see, and on the backside, yeah, you can see it in the photo. That's a complex logic array, which is probably programmable from the processor that's on the left, this kind of attached circuit board. And that's a really cool way of doing this, because I was thinking about the same Raspberry Pi processor before it for PCMCIA, but it doesn't have, it's fast enough, but it doesn't have enough pins. And by adding this chip that looks a little bit like, yeah, more in the middle, you can do that. and then the rest is really more programming job. It's not so much a hardware thing. And I ordered one, and but I don't know, they are still thinking about manufacturing them at all. Currently, one card is going to be $100, which is much too expensive in my opinion. But I don't know. Usually, when the more people want one, the cheaper they get. So we'll see. And if it's an easy layout, we may even be able to make them ourselves. And one nice thing is those Raspberry Pi cards on the left, they come with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth if you like, and then you could write, or someone could write the software to connect this, and the card could probably run without any additional software. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what's in the operating system already.
All right. Yeah, but it's a kind of nice option because you, how I understand that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you just plug this card and if everything is configured, you just plug this card to Newton and you can use it as a external Wi-Fi card. I mean,
Well, I
serial
know
port,
that
yeah.
the Newton operating system has is prepared for few PCMCIA cards to recognize them. Of course, the linear flash cards, which you probably can't emulate with that system. I don't know if it, for example, recognizes a modem card without a driver or a serial port card. If it does, then you could use this as a modem connection.
All right.
The modem part will be recognized.
Yeah.
There
I
used
don't
to be
know, a
modem cards
Wi-Fi
out
card,
there.
I don't think it recognizes by itself. It needs a driver for that. And then internet, of course, needs the usual internet packages. But if it recognizes a modem card, that would already be cool enough because the Raspberry Pi is big enough. You could put a whole server on there, like a web server, and then go and dial in via the modem into that web server that's only virtual and download the software you need.
If I understand correctly, this guy, he said that he can program this card to emulate network card, like a LAN card.
Yeah.
So the Wi-Fi is another layer that is out of the Newton. So Newton just see the like a network card. That's it, like a physical LAN card. And in this case, when you install Newton Internet Enabler, you have a few drivers there, and I think NE2000 is by default. So technically, if you insert that card and that card is in the proper emulation mode, you can have you don't need any additional drivers. So after installation, the Newton Internet Enabler, you can work with this card right away.
Yeah, but you still need the Newton Internet Enabler.
Yes, of course.
So you need to have, it's not when you have a Virgin Newton and you want to start from scratch.
No,
you
definitely
still
not.
need to be able to install software. But I was thinking, if a modem card is recognized, it could fake a modem and install the software.
Yeah, but for the modem, you also need enabler or not?
I'm not sure. I mean, you can, as far as I know, you can use a modem to do the serial port protocol that you do over the cable. You can do over a modem too, and then the system could pretend to be one of those.
Oh, okay.
But that's I mean, that's a whole other thing. Probably needs some programming. I'm sure. I haven't watched the video on with sound on yet. I assume that he's doing this project to plug the card into PCs and not into Newtons.
Yes, but I managed to contact him, and he said that he sent me even the photo that he managed to put that card in the Newton and it's working.
Cool.
It's recognized, it's
Wow.
recognized by Newton without any problem, because he probably a few people contact him about this, and he borrowed Newton from his friend.
Awesome.
To test it.
Then 90% of the work is done. Send me one.
All right. Yeah. Below, I'm gonna switch once again to the video. Below that video, guys, there is a he published a kind of questionnaire, and he just asking there, for those of you who never clicked that, he asking people how much they want to spend for that card and a few other questions. So I think if someone is interesting in general, could be good to, you know, to just give him impression that we are interested in this. So we'll see. I just said to him that $100 is a little too much. and I vote like a more like a 50-60, because this is I think I could spend for that, but 100 is a quite, yeah, but you can see it's a quite quite nicely done project. So yeah, we'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
I filled it out and I said I want one, but I want it to be cheaper. Yeah. Just the plug on the right on the photo, this stupid plug, just to find that is so difficult. And I found them in small numbers for $6 just for the stupid connector. It's like,
The PCMCIA connector, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, PCMCIA
Yeah, for
is
the card side.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I asked him because he's trying, in this video, he explained that he's trying to put that card in a original Wi-Fi PCMCIA Wi-Fi card case, because technically it's possible. But I said to him, I don't care. I can take it like that. Yeah, for me it's fine. I can print on the 3D printer later on, kind of nice external case for this. Yeah, so for me it's not a problem. Yeah. All right, guys, I want to show you another thing, and maybe later on. Yeah.
Before we move on, just briefly, I have also seen that recently somebody has been doing sort of the opposite of this, making a PCMCIA like host adapter for like Raspberry Pi products and stuff like that, so that you could do the reverse, which also would be a helpful tool in our arsenal.
It would allow us to read flashcards and copy them. Would be nice.
Yep. And it also means that maybe at some point running Einstein on some kind of Raspberry Pi or other little ARM SBC, you might actually be able to interface directly from Einstein and such. But first things first, imaging cards.
I have a third project along those lines. There's a group of Amiga people, and Amiga 1200, I think it was, their way of expanding RAM was an internal PCMCIA port, and they developed from scratch RAM expansion. And it's very, very similar to what the Newton does, and uses exactly the same pins and same layout, and also programmable logic chip. That thing could also at least work as a linear flash card without many changes at all. So there's stuff actually happening out there. I'm sometimes surprised at how many things all of a sudden pop up parallel.
Yeah, reading the cards or exchange the data, that would be really nice. Yeah, like I don't know, copy the kind of applications, packages, or notes from Newton, and then connect the memory card to computer, and then use it with Einstein. That would be great. Even better way to exchange the software. So in this case, I think in this case, you don't need the serial cable. Am I correct? Even because you could transfer the data via the memory card. Yeah.
Probably, yes. Yeah.
That would be nice.
The only thing that's for me missing from the PCMCIA connector is a way to power the device, but they never saw that, so this is not going to happen. I was dreaming of instead of an internal modem card or a plug adapter or whatever, just put a PCMCIA card with a USB-C plug on it. But unfortunately, that's not possible.
To power the Newton.
Yeah, that would be the idea, but that's not possible. So
why? The
PCMCIA just outputs power; it doesn't take power, and that's warned in the stats that you absolutely don't power the card from the outside.
Okay. So this is one way. powering.
We could definitely get the communication fixed and get log on to today's protected Wi-Fi networks and everything. That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And as I said, the Raspberry Pi is big enough. I mean, it's the chip is probably 4 to 5 times as powerful as the one that's in the Newton. It can easily run a complete web host, so you can access the entirety of UNA without even going online, just by plugging in the PCMCIA card.
Nice. So all the software in one place.
Yep.
That would be nice.
And I think the card, I don't know if it's this version, but I know that the Raspberry Pi can definitely communicate with an SD card, micro SD card. So yeah, you could take the micro SD card, put stuff on it on your PC, and then put it in this Raspberry Pi, and then all the stuff would be available to the Newton.
Nice. But do you think Newton could hold that amount of, data? Because
it would look to the Newton like a modem connection.
Oh, right. Okay.
To an outside server. It would not be available. It would not be RAM.
Yeah. Okay. So like a external server, something like this.
Yeah.
Nice. Another thing, I thought when we talk about that project, I need to answer on that email because some time ago, a few weeks back, I don't remember who, but there was a guy who said that he's trying to play a little with the messaging card, with the pager system. And he asked for messaging card for Newton because he wants to do some tests to actually make Newton connecting back to the paging system. And I managed to find my card, so maybe I'm gonna contact, because that would be nice to get a page message on Newton from Raspberry Pi, or even connect a few Newtons in then one network and page themselves, then each other. So that's nice. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna show you that device, guys. So I managed to get that on eBay, but after time I discovered that the seller was a Newton sales guy. So I bought that card from him. He managed to construct something like this. I've never connected that actually yet to my Newton, so I'm just showing you. I don't want to do live demo now here, but it looks interesting because you have, first of all, you have interconnect port on one side, so you can plug to the Newton. I'm gonna try to make a space here for Newton to put it on the center of the camera. Yeah. So you can plug to Newton. Obviously, that board is like an external board. So what you have on the sides, you have here a power adapter connector. You have audio input and output, obviously mono, but yeah, they are. This one here is output. This one here is input. They are on the board kind of side, and on the other side you have standard serial port, PC version of serial port, and also USB-C, but it's acting, as far as I understand, it's acting as a normal. It's not USB C, is just normal USB speed, obviously, but you can connect to the computer. So like I said, I've never connected that yet to my Newton, but I'm gonna maybe do this later, and I'm gonna record some video, or maybe next time I'm gonna do proper demo, but I need to prepare myself for this. Yeah. So I know that this guy still selling that. The price is obviously very high, but yeah, it's a kind of another attempt to do something new for Newton. I'm not sure. The problem with this device is that it's external, so it's not very comfortable to use. So the project with the PC card is way better, and could be actually great to have that kind of board, but in a form of PC card. What do you think? Hello.
Stunned silence.
Yeah. I was worried for a moment that I'm talking to the space and nobody listen.
We all logged out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, tired. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
The only thing I'm curious about several things about that board. Obviously, once you eventually connect it to a Newton, but are those both audio jacks, like input and output, on the side of the board?
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Actually, this is pretty much of a copy of the free doc that was available.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. And it looks like it's got USB-C for power and
Yeah,
connectivity.
yeah, that wasn't
Yeah.
even invented back then, but otherwise, apart from the USB stuff, it's more or less the same.
So probably
And
maybe he just made a copy and update that board with the USB. Yeah.
There's a nice story with the free doc. Once upon a time, a long time ago, I recorded Edison phonograph cylinders with this free doc.
oh, nice.
I still have these audio files on my Newton.
Wow. And you've got a review of the free doc on your site, correct, Frank?
Yes, I do. It's in the hardware section.
Very nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that I don't think you can do audio over the PCMCIA slots, if I remember correctly. Or is that?
Probably not.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know the interconnect port has specific, support for audio, but oh, he's connecting it live.
Yes. I just took my risk. I don't want to fry my Newton, but I'm taking the risk. Let's see if it's working.
PCMCIA does have an audio pin, but that does not mean at all that it's connected on the Newton.
Yeah.
All right. So I managed to connect. Yeah. Newton just wake up and it's working. So the board didn't fry Newton. So let's try. You can chat, guys, and I'm gonna try to connect to USB-C and then to my computer, and we'll see if it's working. But I need to find the cable.
Well, there's no smoke yet. That's probably a good sign.
Yeah, I just smell and everything's fine. So it's okay. Should be fine. We'll see. Yeah. I think he tested. I hope he tested. So should be fine. Yeah. But we'll see.
Lucas Electrics for Newton work, so little
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, should be fine. Okay, so maybe I'm gonna give you another topic, but I think Matthias will be able to say a way more than me. So this device. So do we have Matthias
I
here?
almost forgot there's several of those out there.
All right, so I will show and I will rotate a little around this, and you can tell people what is it.
Okay, well, this is actually a really nice sandwich of 3 different boards. The board at the bottom is an Arduino. It's one of the bigger Arduinos. It actually has, funny enough, pretty much the same CPU that the Newton has. Leaving them together, I don't think it's
yeah. I don't wanna break it.
Yeah.
So the board on the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Arduino Duo. And then I needed all those pins from the Arduino to get me to the red printed circuit board, which is just a connector to a so-called DIM72 RAM connector, which was used in the 80s in laptops or in the 90s to put RAM cards into them. And Apple decided to use the exact same connector for the ROM board. And on the right side, you see an original ROM board. And on the left side, you see the ROM board that I basically copied. I took the one ROM board on the right, one original ROM board, and took the chips off and then filed it down through all the layers. It's a 4-layer board. And you can then look at each layer, and then I routed it backwards and saw how everything was connected. And we were hoping, if you show the original board from the backside once more, we heard the rumor that you can put 16 megabytes of RAM onto these boards. And we thought that, you see the footprints there for the chips. And we thought that we can put 4 RAM chips on there, and then we would have 16 megabytes of RAM in the Newton. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. Those footprints are for smaller ROM chips as an alternative. So I said, well, if the operating system and the documentation says you can put RAM in there, then I'm sure you can. And sure enough, finding the documentation for the connector, there is actually access to up to 64, 32 megabytes of RAM or memory, 32 megabytes of memory. 8 megabytes is already the original ROM. Then the original ROM is mirrored once, but that could be its own memory area. And then there's a second page of 8 plus 8 megs that can be either used as more ROM or being used as flash memory. So those chips that I soldered on these boards here that you see, the two, those are actually 64 megabytes flash RAMs. Together they have 64 megabytes. So they have even twice as much as we can address. And I connected everything up, and then the problem was how to program them. So that's where the red board comes into play. That's the programmer for the ROM cards, and the Arduino under it is what powers everything. And the Arduino has a little programming software on there, and then you can go over the serial port and push, for example, the original ROM code, and it gets programmed into the ROM card, and then you can use it just as a regular ROM, which is exciting when you want to flash it to the French ROM, for example. You can do that. It works. We tried that out. You can flash it to the German ROM or the US ROM. So that's already a lot of fun. And then the second part is you can make changes in the original Newton ROM. So we could modify the time area, or we can fix bugs, or we can add support for more PCM-CIA card types. That would all be possible just by changing the original ROM code. And then Apple has done something even cooler. They have those extensions. So we can program extensions, or we can take other programs and just put them into the extensions. And that means we have the 8 megabytes of original ROM, and we have another 24 megabytes that are completely available for installing programs on them. So you guys know, when you have Einstein, when you start that, it always has this Newt test program installed that Frank wrote. And you can do the same here too. You can put 42 megabytes of additional programs onto this ROM card without using any of the internal RAM or flash, and they can all remain on that card. And we've been working a while on, well, you need a programmer, obviously. Right now you need the programmer to do that, and that's a bit silly because the programmer is quite involved. You have the Arduino and an additional board, and you have to take the ROM out of the Newton and put it back in and program it and la la la. So I've been trying to write software that can reprogram the flash RAMs from within the Newton. And that was more difficult than I thought. But it works. It basically works. And that's the problem. The word basically means I've proven that it can work. You can actually reprogram this whole flash card with the Newton running at the same time. I haven't written any software yet that makes this useful. I haven't really tested much. And the problem is if the process goes wrong, if your Newton crashes while doing it or whatever, then the content of the ROM is gone too, and you have to unscrew everything, put the old ROM in, find a programmer, and so on and so on. So it's not a safe version yet, but it is a possible version. And yeah, it's kind of fun to put the card in and it already comes packed with software. And I think Pavel has done a lot of work trying out which packages can also actually go into a ROM, because not all packages can be part of can be stored in a ROM. Some have to be part of the flash. And yeah, I don't know. What are your results, Pavel? Sorry, I'm rambling on and on.
No, that's great. That's great to hear all that stuff, because actually you said a few new things you never said before. So
Okay.
kind of update, yeah. I did test because my first goal with this was like, is it correct camera? Yes. My first goal was to make to take like a crucial packages on that ROM board, like Newton Internet Enabler, necessary drivers for the network cards and for the Wi-Fi cards. Because if we could put that packages on the ROM board, then basically, even if we wipe out the Newton completely, we have necessary software to start different communication that the USB to serial cable, yeah, because we could technically, with all that software, we could set up Newton and work over the Wi-Fi card to get connection. Unfortunately, like you mentioned before, some of the packages, some software cannot be on the ROM, because basically they there's a few version how they behave. I just put like colors, the green, the orange, and the red. So the green is obviously everything's working fine. So I managed to do. I'm gonna maybe run here another Newton I have. I'm gonna switch to the camera, proper camera. Yeah, this is the proper camera. So I have Newton here. This Newton's working all the time without the back cover, because I always do something here. So
looks like all my Newtons.
yeah, and have a very dodgy screen. So I'm sorry for that, but I'm gonna try to show you how they behave. The packages. Give me a second. I need to disconnect one thing from here and connect to my Newton to make a power. Where is the cable? Come on, Newton cable, where are you?
Well, I have to take off now,
All right,
but it was interesting and very educational. I'll see you guys again next month when you
no
have this
problem.
meeting.
No problem. Next
All
month,
right.
yeah.
All right. See you.
Take
Bye.
it easy.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to run. Do you see the screen? Kind of what's going on there? Because I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to.
It's viewable, but I don't see what exactly is content.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to switch off non-necessary thing. The one thing actually I want to show you is that I managed to put some kind of, I'm gonna try to find a good angle. No, it's not great. It's not great. Give me a second. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little. So for example, if you can see, there is a dashboard. I managed to put dashboard, the selected one. So like you see, I'm not sure, is it in focus now or not? Because I don't see very well. Basically, when the software is on the ROM board, it have a flag like a built-in software. So all the native applications are not in the internal memory, but they are built-in. So any software that I managed to put on the ROM board is the same way. So not taking any memory on the Newton memory, which give you a more space in the Newton. So I just, like I said before, I just managed to have a kind of packages in a green area, so they working fine. Like for example, dashboard working perfectly. No issue with this. So after you with this, for example, when you wipe out Newton completely, you have dashboard pre-installed, and it's working like a charm. Some of the packages, they appear when you go to the extras. They appear, but if you try to run them, if it's a kind of application, game, or whatever it is, or kind of utility, they appear in the extras, but if you click on them, if you tap them, they report kind of error. So, and it's depend. I think it's a matter of how they were programmed, how they internally work, how they address the memory, etc., etc. I'm not the programmer. Maybe Matthias will help me to explain why is that. But basically, you're getting errors, a lot of errors, and you're not able to run the application. And the red flag is that actually, when I programmed the ROM board, the package is in the ROM, but don't even appear in the extras. So I don't know, Newton cannot recognize even that package. Yeah. The funny thing is that if, let's say, I have some kind of that type of program in the ROM board, and that program do not appear in extras, but if I'm trying to install the same app over the cable from the computer, the Newton report that I'm sorry, I cannot do it because that app exists on the Newton. So it's like a weird behavior, yeah, but it's like that, yeah. So unfortunately, Newton internet enabler is very dodgy, because some of the packages, they are appear and they working on Newton, but the crucial one, I don't remember the name, but the crucial one, the biggest one, completely is not working from the ROM, which is shame. Yeah. The same with the Wi-Fi driver. Wi-Fi driver is like, I think it's in orange area, so it appear in the extras, but completely do not initialize, and there's no way that will work. Yeah. Some of the LAN network card, like a LAN cards and modem drivers, some of them are fine and they working fine, but some of them completely do not appear. So it's like a random stuff. I have somewhere the list of the software which work from the ROM board. And I categorize them, and I'm trying to always take new application. What is great that the most of the games, they're working fine. So I could prepare kind of board with a like a gaming Newton. Yeah. I've tested like 10 games and they are working fine. So yeah. Battleship, is it proper name for the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working fine. So
okay. It's one of the better ones. Yeah.
yeah. So I've never tried 2 Newtons and play 2 players between the infrared yet, but I assume if the game's working, the infrared should work. Yeah. So this is short report from me. If someone is interested in this, I'm happy to publish my results. What I want to say at the end, I really enjoyed the whole process to programming that, because it's like, yeah, it's really cool process. Yeah, it's like the interface for the software is like it's a text interface. Yeah.
It's very old school 70s 80s software with press 1 to program, press 2 to
This is
delete.
exactly the way to do it, because
Yes.
everyone understands it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that process, and I must say, Matthias, sometimes I play with the board only for the programming and erasing. I know I shouldn't do this because I degraded the chipset, but come on, I have another 5 boards, like so I can play. Yeah?
Maybe I can chime in at the right here, because this board is not only excellent for like storing apps, it's crucial for translating the operating system. One of my long-time dreams has always been to translate the email's operating system into German. And right now, I think I have translated 200 strings from approximately 5,000.
Wow.
But, well, I'm like 64, maybe I can finish. But it's so cool, because I do not even need this board most of the times, because I'm doing all this with a program that I've written myself, and Einstein. I have written a program that can change and create a new ROM, and that this takes only seconds. And once Matthias had taught me how to locate the strings in the ROM, they are preceded by a certain amount of bytes in a certain order, and they are followed by a certain amount of bytes. But once I've really understood that, I was able to extend my program to just read every string in the stupid ROM and write it into a text file. This is why I know it's about 5,000 or so. But it's so cool to fire up Einstein and change something and look at it on your PC 5 seconds later and see it works. Because it does not always work, because German, for example, usually is longer than English. You just need more space for a text. And sometimes this isn't a problem because Apple left enough space, but sometimes things are clipped. And then things get really funny, because you have to find the boundary, is that correct word? The bounding rectangle information is somewhere hidden in the ROM too, but it's sometimes not very easy to find it. And sometimes you feel like a combination of Sherlock Holmes and Indiana Jones, but it's really, really fun. And once this is finished, I can just drop it on Matthias' board, and I can put it in a real email, and I will have a more or less German email. This is so cool.
Ah, that's a very interesting and cool approach. So we're very good. So automated, so we can translate it to other languages too at the same time.
Well, actually, my program is not that easy to understand, at least for anyone else but me. But sometimes I've thought to make it some a little easier to read, and just give people out there, everyone 10 texts, and have them enter it in the proper syntax in this program. It wouldn't be really difficult. But still, with 4,800 texts left, you need quite a lot of people.
Very cool. Well, and like that, you can change the ROM. We can add. Yeah, if we want to add features, we might actually do that and fix things and whatever comes up. But I have to admit that this was started over a year ago, I think, and I kind of pushed the project a little bit to the side. But maybe I can do a little bit more about it. I still have the software and everything around, and I was trying to integrate the programming of the board into Einstein, so I don't have to get a physical machine out all the time. But This is based on a lot of work from original Einstein, and all the Einstein drivers are in the same area where the ROM board is, and so they're kind of in my way. And but it's all solvable. I should put some more effort into it.
Actually, I have been thinking about extending my program in a way that once I found a text in the ROM, I just check with Google, well, how would you translate it, and automatically change it. And if it wouldn't be good, it would be at least very funny.
When are you going to start to change the graphics?
I already did that.
Oh, okay.
Now Matthias told me how to do it.
The little icons and everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have my laptop on my lap, as the name says. So if the background behind me is making you seasick, I apologize.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't look at my background. Yeah, so nice things. There is another thing I want to before we'll go, with the flow. I want to mention about, I'm gonna switch the camera once again, and maybe here to have a little wider. My recent attempt to powering the Newton. The idea came from this device. So this device was made by Apple, and I think originally was for Newton 120, I think. So this device is basically the battery pack for Newton. Inside, what you have inside, for those of you who don't know, just 8 AA batteries. And I thought there is a kind of inside of this case, it's a kind of, I don't know, piece of electronic or kind of, I don't know, driver, whatever, how to call it, to, stabilize the power, but it's not. So I'm not sure how it's working, because correct me if I'm wrong, 8 times 1.5, it's how much? 3, 6.
The work week starts on Monday. I can't calculate.
Yeah. So it's like, but I think it's like a connected. It's not like they are not in the row, but probably parallel. So it's a 6 volts. I believe
probably
it's
have 4 and 4.
4 and 4.
Line,
yeah.
Another 4 in line, and those 10 parallel.
Yeah, but there is no any electronic. So that device give exactly 6 volts from the battery. So I said to myself, why I cannot use this? So I did it. I just found that kind of pack on Amazon. It's like a 5 or 6 pounds, and it's a normal USB connector with the power connector and a bunch of kind of connectors, and one of them, fortunately, is working fine. Exactly this one, orange one, is working with the Newton. So there is no problem to connect this to this.
I do like your sleight of hand that you just sort of move a message pad and you've got another one waiting in the wings underneath it.
And voila, it's working. So one of my NPDS servers working via USB constantly. There is no additional battery pack on the side for this Newton, so the power coming from the USB. And the moment you will send there 5 volts, so the standard voltage from the power adapter, you have your Newton working very fine, very fine, very nicely. So the NPDS server is here with the card, is working with the power last 2 months without any issue. Yeah. So this is the excellent way to have a kind of, you know, more mobility with the Newton, because you can work, obviously you can work with the battery pack in a Newton, and there is no issue with this. But if your batteries are going to die, then you can use power bank, yeah. And it's easy to kind of, you know, I'm working on kind of shorter cable and kind of case that I could put the battery pack under the Newton and have a little heavier device. But my test was with the Wi-Fi card. So the Newton itself draw just 80 milliamps, so it's not much. So that power bank is 10,000 milliamps. So you can do the math, and you know, it's probably more than a week, non-stop working. But with the Wi-Fi card, and that was the maximum current that the Newton draw, because not even that VGA card, taking actually less. So the Wi-Fi card was about 300 milliamps on a peak, taken from the Newton. I have that kind of device, so I'm gonna demonstrate to you. I'm gonna connect between, so you can.
This is fascinating, but I am going to have to shoot off. So
no problem.
Look forward to seeing you all again.
All right, cool.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Bye.
So yeah, so I'm gonna take this here. I'm gonna zoom in.
So you can basically run it from any USB output. It doesn't have to be a battery, right? You can just plug it into your PC or whatever.
Yes. The only thing, and what is great, because like you see, it's a 5 volts, and when you run the Newton, will you start or not? Or I just kill you? Come on, don't do this now.
You might have to reset the Newton.
Maybe. We're gonna disconnect and connect once again, because this is weird actually, because it worked very nice. Yeah, now. So when the Newton start, like you see, it's drawing a little more, but when you establish the connection, so Newton now it's working. So I need to, obviously it's reboot, reset. When everything is loaded, like you see, it's about, now there's system is almost finished. Loading, yeah. So drawing about 150 milliamps when the Newton start, but when you start Newton and it's on idle, you have even like a 40 milliamps, but usually it's like about 80. With the Wi-Fi card, let me check if I have some Wi-Fi card I could put to the Newton temporary. And you will see that. Yeah. So not even 300 milliamps. So technically, even USB, classic USB should be enough, yeah, because it's a 500 milliamps, yeah.
Yeah.
So
nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah. So no issue. I didn't fried my Newton, so it's a very safe way to power Newton.
Yeah,
And yeah,
you will have to watch out for one or two things, because the reliability of the serial port is dependent on the voltage. I frequently had it that I wasn't able to install system update packages when the Newton was run from the battery, and it worked just hunky-dory when I plugged the AC adapter in.
all right. So when you connect the serial port, you said, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna do the test, because actually I've never do that kind of tests.
And the internal battery is 7 volts or something, and you are working with 5 volts, so you are probably at the limit of it not working at all.
All right.
Definitely at the lower limit, yeah.
But why is like that? Because 5 volt is not enough, or
I think that I don't think I'm sure that 5 volt is not enough to have the serial port work reliably. Probably the rest of it works just fine.
all right, okay.
Yeah, I think the official range is between 5.8 and 7.2 or something.
For the serial port, yeah?
No, for the power supply in general.
For Newton,
For Newton, yeah.
the
To that
chart,
port.
the chart saying even about 4 volts.
Well, that's probably enough to run the Newton, but like Frank
But not
said, maybe
not
not
everything. All right, okay.
not serial. It probably would not charge the batteries if you had rechargeable batteries in there.
Right.
Yeah,
I've never tested because I'm not using the original, like you saw. I'm using the just Caddy for the AA batteries. So I'm not using the original batteries, and I do not use Newton to charge them. Yeah, I
But it's
bought a
still,
few. Yeah, I bought few AA cells with the USB port to charge them. Yeah, and I'm just charging via USB. Yeah, externally because it's I think it's most reliable for me. Yeah, but yeah, I'm
well,
gonna
and
do test. I'm gonna do the
as long as you
test.
have some internal battery, that should be enough to let you still run serial. Well,
Like a
although,
power,
as Frank said, there.
So like a power will be draw from the internal batteries, yeah, instead of the power bank, yeah, or not?
Right. Well, it's a good question. I don't remember how that works if the external power is lower than the charge of the batteries.
No,
I
we'll
would be
probably
very
run on the
surprised
internal
if the
batteries
batteries
then.
would power the power supply. I'm pretty sure that Apple had prevented this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the test. We'll see how it's working.
But it's still very good idea. I think you do not need the AC adapter if all you want to check is let something run on your Newton. This is very helpful, I think.
Agreed. Because for most usage, like you showed, even with a Wi-Fi card, that's more than enough to run it. So that's great.
And
yeah.
if you want to really make sure that you get your 6 or 6.5 volts, they're very cheap DC to DC adapter boards. They're, I don't know, less than an inch long and or less than about 22 millimeters by 10, 15 millimeters, and you can put them in line into the cable, and that would give you a 6.5 volts generated out of the 5 volts from the battery.
Like a step up.
Only 500 milliamps. That's nothing.
So like a step up system, yeah.
Yeah, DC converter,
DC.
the typical Alibaba stuff. And they have a little potentiometer where you can set the voltage that you want. And I don't know how reliable they are, but they basically work. And I think they should probably be good enough for this job.
All right.
And,
so I'm gonna do more tests. Thanks, guys, for the suggestions. Yeah. Basically,
Oh, I was just curious what the risks are with those like step up DC to DC. Like how likely is it that it could produce voltage higher than, I mean, again, it's a low milliamp, but higher than the 7 point whatever limit for the Newton?
As I said, it's Alibaba stuff. Nobody gives you any guarantee whatsoever, and they are able to step up, I think, up to 16 volts, which would definitely be too much. But usually when they break and go to 0 and not up to 16. But who knows? I mean, I would.
You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
I would probably not use one of those.
Well, if it works this way, it works this way. This would only be necessary if it's important to get the serial port running or something else, or charge batteries that are in the Newton or anything. As long as this works, it's fine. Never change the running system, right?
It would be cool to like have just use a USB port from your computer, because usually when if I were doing this, I would plug it into a computer that's already running, so there are not very much danger of spikes or something like that. I would easily venture to do that.
All right.
I always remember that post is I believe is still even on the website with all information about the newtons. That be careful with the external power adapters.
Yeah, but
Non-Apple, yeah.
That's based on power adapters. A lot of power adapters are really low quality, and it's a typical thing for power adapters if they don't have a load on one end, that the voltage is much higher than the described voltage, and only when you have a load the voltage goes down, which is what low quality power supplies do, and that's a very typical killer for newtons.
Yeah, so the problem is that suddenly Newton get a very high voltage because there is no load on the power adapter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just doing the switching on usually.
Right.
But when it's fried, it's fried.
Right. Yeah.
And a Zener diode would have prevented all that. It's a 2-cent part.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's cheaper. 2 cents. It's like a lot of
Yeah, just look at the millions of machines that were made. I mean, that's like almost $2,000 for a tiny company like Apple.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it was the mid to late 90s. So
yeah, no, I'm just being silly, of course.
But yeah, I mean, and that's the other benefit with the Newton. Well, problem and benefit is that it was designed to run on batteries. So like it's designed to start at that good like 6-volt range and then slowly reduce over time, and that's why it happens to work on 5 volts.
Yeah. So I'm on the edge with the power bank with the 5 volts. I'm on the edge.
Well, at least it doesn't go under
direction.
5 volts. With normal batteries, they as Morgan just said, go from 6 volt to 5 volt to 4.5 volt. And with the power banks, usually they are very good at remaining at 5 volt, and then they just die. So yeah, very good, very brave man. Thank you for testing that for
the
us.
lithium
So we don't
batteries
have to.
also suddenly die. They have I'm currently testing some of those. These AA cell lithium cells with that have an integrated USB-C connector. These are really cool because they are running like 3 hours, or approximately 3 hours on almost 1.5 volts, 1.48 in my case. And then suddenly they drop to 1.1, which is quite okay because this is the discharge voltage normally, so approximately. And they stay there for like 5 minutes. And then they drop to 0, 1.1, 0, 1.1, 0.
All right.
And if you have 4 of those in your device, which are dropping between 0 and 1.1 at irregular and not synchronous intervals, that might be quite cool.
Wow. Okay.
I have 2 things if you guys are interested.
Yes,
so,
please.
One thing that I picked up was one of these books, paper devices, and you can imagine what I put on first with software. And it's where's the guy there? And it's Android device. So this is the really old Android version, and it works.
Nice.
Cool.
And yeah, so that was the one thing.
And
Very
it
cool.
looks pretty performant because that's the color e-ink, correct?
Yeah, that's the color e-ink. If I find the button right now, and I don't find it, when I switch the light on, it even gets a shade of green. It's really funny.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Is
How
it
do you
like
switch
a
the light on? Totally forgot.
is it like a kind of modern device or not?
It's a Boox, Boox, and the model is Tab Mini.
Let me
Yeah,
make
they also
notes.
have a larger tab as well. I've had my eye on those for this exact reason. So that's why I was like, ooh, because the modern e-ink displays, a lot of those devices actually have now some like accelerated modes so they can draw faster.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that the speed that the Newton display draws at anyway is kind of around at e-ink display refresh rate anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is has little to do with the flickering comes from the Android driver, which is horrible. It needs to be reprogrammed. But now I have an incentive to do that. But you see how the extras folder? I mean, there's no more of this old e-ink blinking. This stuff is completely gone, and it's really nice. You can work with it very well.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, all tried to watch videos on our MessagePad 2100s and seen like how slow the LCD itself refreshes anyway. So like, yeah, that current e-ink technology looks perfectly fine for Newton use.
The other thing is some Einstein stuff, not much. I did some 2 updates to releases, and
show us.
Oh, you did share my desktop already. Yeah, cool. So I have you guys all know we have Windows Toolkit. You get the Toolkit window here. And I put in File, Sample Projects. There's the miles per gallon project. And that's a piece of software I wrote, oh my God, 15 years ago. I don't know.
Nice.
And when I run it, it opens this, and you enter the miles you drove, 110 miles, and you only needed, I don't know, 4 gallons, 5 gallons. So you have a range of 22 miles per gallon. The math behind it is very complex. It took me ages to figure that out. No, it's just one simple division. But the idea behind the software was more to be able to check if the toolkit implementation is working. And now you can look at the code. It's part of Einstein. You can modify it. You can play around with it. And it's a little bit more than the previous example I had in there. There are 2 new things in there. The one thing is that, yeah, you can, of course, write scripts like here. This is the function to. Do you see my cursor? Yeah, probably.
Yes.
This is the function to calculate the actual mileage, and now it has access to all the other graphical items on the screen, and you can use that and click around, and it works now pretty much like an NTK generated program. So I managed to find some bugs there. And the other thing is new. That's the graphic here. And this is actually drawn as a PNG, just a simple PNG image. And the line to load this is here. This is the W icon graphic, the view, the CL picture view. And it has this command here. It's make icon from file. And that's a new command that was added to that I added to Einstein Toolkit, and it takes any PNG or JPEG file and generates a black and white image from that. And it even has the correct transparencies, and you can also use that to create an application icon.
What's the location of that PNG file? Where that file need to be?
Yeah, okay. In this specific case, it's embedded. That means it's part of Einstein itself. I've hidden it inside the code, but you can also just enter a path on your computer. And
Right. So I can have, for example, that graphic on my desktop, and when I put proper
Yes.
path, then the Einstein will read from this file.
Yes. I have to
Awesome.
check. I think the path is always relative where you save the script itself.
Okay.
At least that's what it should be. If not, then I have to fix that.
I'm gonna check it.
So that would make it easy. You just enter the name mpg.png and don't have to put any path information in. But an absolute path also works.
All right.
And if you have a Windows machine, you should still use forward slashes, not the backward slash that Windows uses.
So how if you could explain kind of how that work when the toolkit generate the package? What's going on with the footage with that picture?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is the way that Toolkit generates programs is by running a program, by running a Newton script program. And that's one of the peculiarities of the Newton script language. And this runs in its own interpreter. It's not running in Einstein or in the emulator. It's running in its own interpreter. And it has a compiler and everything. And so I'm generating the package just by running all these instructions here, and by creating this the form. That's a convention by Apple, by creating this newt.theform. The form contains all the different user interface elements, and the first thing I generate here is the prototype, the float and go, which is the window that floats around and has a close button. And so this already creates the window. The whole remaining code adds the different elements to this float and go picture, and it uses always the same system. If you download the code or look at the code, you figure it out pretty quickly. So for example, the MPG title line here is created here, local title. The prototype is a static text, which makes sense by itself already. The text is MPG. The view bounds, what Frank was talking earlier about, the borders of the thing is 61 pixels to the right from the float and go. The top is 3 pixels from the top, and so on. And I changed the font in this. And then these two commands, the top command adds it to the float and go, and the bottom command makes it debuggable as just always the same two lines, just copy and paste and done. And so that's how the title is copied or added to the form, and then we have the headline, calculate your gas mileage, and so on. And then we got the active parts. So this is then the icon is another one that doesn't use the proto statement. It's a little bit different, but in the end, it's all documented. And that's a little bit of the hammer. If you want to do all this, we have the Newton programmer reference, of course, and the Newton programmer guide. So if you really want to know how to do all that, you go through the Newton programmer's guide first. And then when you got stuck while programming, you go into the Newton programmer's ref. And then when I see here, for example, I look for proto float and go, and I look here, and then it tells me all the additional information I can give it. The view bounds, which I just did, you saw that, but I can do a view format. So I can say the pen color, I want that to be color 4. And so this gives me a list of stuff I can do with that. And then that's the one way to create the user interface. And then the second part is when I click on something here, oh, my miles per gallon went really up. And that's also all in the documentation. What Newton OS sends, when I change anything here, it sends, it calls that, it sends a message. And the message is the click done message. And by just implementing this function click done, that is called every time a user clicks on this. And in this case, the function is really simple. It calls recalculate mileage, which is part of the main window, recalculate mileage. And that then goes, calculates the value and sets the value of the bottom numeric display here. And that's how the whole thing works. And it's, of course, this is a very simple program. There's no timing involved, no animation, no sounds, no craziness. It's just really simple math. But the cool thing is it works. And the fun part is when I do changes here, let's change the calculation for a different car. It compiles it right away, it uploads it, and I already have the changes right away. I can see what I changed right away. So no, I don't have to go through a hardware Newton and try this out. At the same time, the package is written. Here it says in usermat test.package. If I put that on a Newton MessagePad 2000 or 2100, it will run just fine. Just the same as it runs on the emulator.
All right. So the package is automatically installed in Einstein and also as a physical file on your hard drive.
Yeah, as soon as you when you open the sample project, first thing you have to do is you first save it under a different name somewhere else on your operating system.
Okay.
So example here in my home directory under test.ns. And once I save it there,
do you want to replace it?
Once I save it there, then it also knows where to put the package file. It just puts it in the same directory under the same name, just test.package instead of test.ns.
All right. So if I change that path, for example, I'm gonna save that script on my desktop. That will be the same location for the package.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Great.
Yeah. And then you can.
I know it's not great to work with the desktop, but I'm a lazy person.
No, that's fine. I mean, I do that too. And so right now this is all pretty minimal. You only have one text file that you can use and no resource file. And so NTK is a lot more luxurious. And also when you do say, oh, I have protostatic text and you want to know what additional information you can put into that, you always have to go back to Newton Programmer's Guide or Newton Programmer's Reference.
Yeah.
Enter, click here, where is it? Protostatic text. And then I can see, oh, okay, view bounds, la, la, la. That's the only disadvantage. Really, NTK is better in that respect. When you set the proto to, I mean, you have the list of protos here. At least you can check out all the different icon user interface element types you can use.
So could you say a little more about that menu you just opened? Because I saw that menu and how it's working, that protos.
Yeah, so let's say we want to put something in here and we want to add another module or user interface element. So we can say, oh, a check button, for example, is a great idea. I just want a check button. And then it generates code for me for my check button, proto, put some random coordinates in it and declares the whole thing. And I'm pretty sure I can add a text element. And let's just try it out, see what happens. And of course, nothing happens. Great. Well, it's probably hidden behind one of these things. So let me see. This one here is
the coordinates. Just check the coordinates.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not at the point where you can visually drag and drop something where you want it.
Yeah.
So the top coordinate is 130. So let's do that here. 10. Top is the 130. Right is 100. 150 maybe. Well, of course. Well.
But it's somewhere there. Yeah.
Maybe you can comment out the others.
Okay, then let's.
I think that was too much of a comment.
No, that didn't refresh down here.
Ah,
It's the comment ends here.
okay.
Oh, I have relative bounds.
Yeah, you just comment out this also.
No, it's not
No?
coming out, but yeah, I've put in relative bounds. That's the problem. Let me get the coordinates of this here. It's being mean to me. Well, protostatic text
Yay!
works. Oh,
Yay!
I know. I think I know what it is.
The close box is there, yeah?
No, I think the check button has to be within a group. So if you have several check buttons that they depend on each other or something.
All right.
As I said, that's the thing about it. You really have to go and go into the documentation and make sure. See, it doesn't even appear here, the proto check button.
Yeah, but it's great. Awesome.
Yeah. Let me see, just button in general, action button, filing button, and so on. So
lot of
yeah, this
buttons.
is something where you can spend much more than a single weekend in finding user interface elements. And so those are, yeah, picture button was where I load the picture that you seen earlier, the icon. And then you have radio button, radio cluster, and yeah, I think the clove. Yeah. Anyway, this is not super intelligent. If the mouse cursor is at the wrong position, it just inserts the code. But it's a crutch, but it works, and you can get programs running minimal stuff.
This is
And
awesome.
if you
I
want
love
to
it.
know how other programs work, you can go and take any package you have. I don't know, no idea what those packages are, but just grab a random one. Node hopper, I don't know.
Can you try a new test?
Let me see.
Then I wouldn't have to ask my question.
Well, you'd have to ask the developer permission first to decompile it live on stream.
You can do it now.
Exactly.
There's new test. And I drop it into this bin here on the right side.
Okay.
And it replaces the script that's in here. Oh my God, it's 124K. Yeah, that's going to take a while. It actually reverse engineers the entire package. It does not create the script itself. It only shows. So here, for example, you see this is the code to create an icon. And the stuff that you see here, when you type in the command make icon from file, it basically generates this text for you. So you don't have to from the PNG icon. And then you can go and just look at what someone wrote here. And the instructions, unfortunately, it uses the bytecode. So this is a little bit hard to read. Yeah. But if you want to find out how, for example, to disable the code check on what was the adventure program that we had on the list yesterday, you can find those positions here. So what did you want to see, Frank?
I had hoped somehow that it would look more like Newton script, so that would make it easier to try out things.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not at that point yet. There are two disassemblers that convert this part back into Newton script, but I don't know yet how to integrate them. And I definitely want to do that at some point, because then you can just drop everything here, press on run, and then the original program should be reassembled.
But when I'm currently working on new test, the turnaround time is pretty long, because for a start I have to do it on a virtual machine because I cannot do it on my normal PC. and then I'll fire up NTK, and then I'll combine it, and then I load it onto my Newton, and this takes quite a long time for every little change. It would be so cool if we could do that in Einstein.
Mm.
Well, I can't remember. Did you get Einstein working with serial?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you could actually have NTK at least compile and install the package directly into Einstein.
Yes, that works. When you use Basilisk, it can communicate to Einstein via pipes, emulated serial port, and you can have Einstein run on the machine and on the same machine Basilisk, and they can talk to each other.
I did it. I can confirm everything's working.
Good.
Actually, this is the way how I did that fake Facebook and Instagram applications, because I tested first of all, I test them on Einstein. So yeah, it's working, at least on Mac. Yeah, I'm not sure about the PC, but probably will be a similar thing. Yeah.
I usually only try out the Mac version just because I don't really have a PC anymore. But
yeah, I'm the same.
A Windows machine, to say it correctly.
Well, if you want one, I have 2 or 3.
No.
No.
No. Oh, my kids have a machine. I mean, it's not the access, it's more the want than the can.
I know the feeling.
What should be cool, what I can probably whip together relatively quickly is you're writing on the Mac version of NTK?
No, I'm using the PC version.
The PC version of it. For both versions, it would be cool at some point to convert a full NTK setup into a single source file, and then you could put the source file into Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't have the graphical interface anymore. You can't position stuff carefully with your mouse, but at least you have the entire source code available.
Well, it would be cool.
I see if I can do that. I have to check. It's a little bit more time issue than anything, as usual.
Matthias, I have a question. Would it be possible if you could prepare exactly that presentation, what you did now? You show us, the lines of the code, and maybe we could organize, and I will organize at the end of the year, the conference. Would it be possible? I could ask you to prepare that kind of presentation, like one programming one-on-one, and make some very simple application based on because
sure, no problem. I mean, my presentations are always unplanned and chaotic, but if you can deal with that, then I'm happy to do that.
I learn in that last 15 minutes more than more than you imagine. Yeah. Because for me it's like I have that programmer's book, etc., but I don't know how to read it and how to apply that in a code. But you just show me how to do it, so I will play probably the incoming week with this because I have a holiday. So thanks very much.
In the original idea, they had this NTK as a very graphic-oriented programming environment, which is cool in a way. But if you're really a programmer, it's more in your way than anything. We don't like to touch our mouse so much, and but both works, and it's just a lot of reading, and Newton script is I mean it was always the subject back then that they had to fit a huge language and an operating system in a tiny amount of RAM and ROM, and you can tell because we don't have a debugger, we don't have a single step execution, we don't have, sometimes you don't know, you wanted to access a variable and you'll be surprised how it finds out where the variable should be, and sometimes you get results that are super surprising. So at least I added some print statements so you can get kind of a poor man's debugging output, and if you don't know what the thing is doing, just add the command print and whatever the values you want to print out. And even if it runs on the emulator, the result of the printing will appear in the console.
All right.
In my opinion, the Apple docs, the reference and programmer's guide are not suitable for people who have never wrote a Newton program before.
Yeah.
There are way better options. When I started, I bought this book, what was it, Programming for the Newton using Windows, and there's another one using Mac OS or so. And I found this really, really cool because it started right at the beginning. If you know nothing, you just have to have this book. It's much easier. The learning curve is comparatively steep, but if you start with the Newton Programmer's Guide, there is no learning curve, in my opinion.
My problem is that I wish to be programmer, but I have no skills for this, like a natural.
Well, you have a brain, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, but it's like
You do. We know you do.
Yeah.
A well-working one, but yeah, programming is its own thing, and I have, for example, a lack of recognizing people's faces, and that's kind of what I pay for this, and so every brain is just wired differently.
Come on, for programming, you need to have good like thinking, abstract thinking. You need to have that ability to thinking about abstract things. Yeah, am I correct?
I think you are not. Excuse me, but I allow me to disagree. The best thing to have is colleagues you can ask. I mean,
yes.
I'm probably a graphical guy. I was hired in my company to develop hardware, Apple hardware, and someday I just found out that people do not need so much hardware, and then I started writing software, which was a really, really hard process. And then one day you find out you cannot do everything. I mean, I'm pretty good with pixels, and I'm pretty good with user interfaces. I can make sure that a program, somebody who uses your program will understand it without browsing the manual for 2 hours. But I cannot think in complex algorithms, but I have a colleague who can. And whenever, before I retired, and whenever I had a problem that I wasn't able to like solve on my own in 5 minutes, I went to this guy and I said to him, you know, I have this problem. I don't even how to describe this problem because I don't really understand it. And it took him like three minutes to give me a code snippet. So you cannot do everything, but you can start. You will eventually produce results, not in every particular field, but you will produce results.
That's great. I will do.
Yeah, there's a website's called Stack Overflow, and if even for Newton script questions, sometimes there are people who answer that for the most exotic languages. But usually, everybody who programs C++ and stuff, they know this page, and I would venture that 80% of the code that flies around in the world is a copy and paste from this web page, or where people ask questions and there's some sample code and people just copy paste this stuff over.
It's probably now been used to train a large language model, so it'll then automatically program it for 80% of the developers going forward.
So you mean when you ask ChatGPT, it goes and asks Stack Overflow?
Probably.
Actually, I did it a few days ago because I read that conversation about that, what you actually sent on the Newton talk, Matthias, about what was that game we talk about? Newt Hack?
Newt Hack, yeah.
Yes. And I try to find in the code that addresses you mentioned. I failed. I have no idea how to do it. So I went to the because someone put, Morgan, that was you. You modified the code to generate the serial number, yeah? To make it work on Python.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I just copied that code, so Python code, and I put that in a ChatGPT, and I asked if ChatGPT could modify that and make a Newton script from this code. And it gave me back something, but I have no idea how to. And I just copy paste that code to the toolkit, and I hope that will work, but it's not because there is a problem with the user interface, etc., etc. Yeah.
I think turning Python into anything is a very challenging task.
Yes.
Actually,
Hey,
I managed to find the website that you can copy paste the Python code and that generates something, and that script worked and generates the serial number for me. So the code's working. Yeah, but yeah, I was naive that ChatGPT will fix all my problems.
Hey guys, I need to get going here in a bit, but I have a little something I want to share with everybody before. Through the magic of the internet, I connected up with a guy named James Elliott, who used to be he was pretty active in the Newton community back in the early 2000s, but I don't know if you can see that. I've got 5 version 1.4 ROMs for MessagePad 120, 130s. Frank, have you ever heard of that?
No,
It's not a Japanese version. So the Japanese ROM was released as a 1.4 and possibly a 1.5, but and I don't know, I'm assuming this is an English ROM, but I've got 5 of these. And I'm certain there's people that might want to tinker with these. So, if you want to put your hands up or send me an email or something like that, I'm going to try to plug it into one of my message pads and see what happens. I mean, it's an Apple thing. It's an 8 meg ROM. The sticker on the packages say 8 meg ROM card. So I'm assuming they're authentic. They're dated 1994.
What does the FAQ say? I think the first official system was 1.2 or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very interesting. So I have no idea what's going on with that. It's certainly something I'd be curious looking at. Here, I'll just post a photo of it into the chat there so you can see the detail of the text on the chip. But anyway, I thought I'd share that. And if somebody's interested in tinkering with one of those, I'm happy to mail them a copy of it. I certainly don't need 5 of them, but I'd like to keep a couple, maybe, or even just one. So,
what's the connector like?
It's the standard. It looks like the connector that goes onto a 120 or 130 board, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know the 120 boards.
It's a standard ROM board, yeah, for 120, 130, I think, yeah.
That's the back of it there.
For the 130, certainly not. The 130.
Sorry, 120, yeah, 120.
The 130 has a different connector on it?
Yes.
No, it has the same connector, but it was only Newton OS 2.
Oh, okay. So the 130 had the ROM on board, and then the 2.0 replaced it with this?
The difference, one main difference is that the 120 has 2 chips and the 130 has 4.
Oh, okay, got it.
But the form factor and the connectors are identical.
Okay, right. So this would be a 120 ROM board then, because it doesn't have the chips on the other side. Got it. See, you learned something today.
All right. So before you go, Grant, Matthias, can I ask you, is it possible to dump the ROM from 120 via serial cable?
I don't know anything pre 2.0.
Right.
I
mean,
know
technically must be some way, because we have ROMs from even Newton 100, so must be the way. Maybe on the card.
If you go into the Leibniz documentation of the Leibniz simulator, they explain how to dump the ROM there, and it might work for these two.
Okay.
Because Grant, what I'm thinking, if you could send me one, I'm really curious if it's possible, because technically we could dump the ROM and use with the Leibniz, yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, it should be possible. Yeah.
All right. So if I could ask for one of that
Sure.
boards, I will try to do it, because that will be very interesting.
Yeah. Just send me an email with your current
no problem.
Mailing address and stuff. And Frank, if you'd like to look at one too, I'll be happy to send you one.
That's nice.
That's cool.
This is awesome. How could you tell us a story, Grant, how it happened that you managed to grab that guy?
There was a guy on Mastodon who was posting. I don't know if James was a developer at one point, or he just came across a bunch of stuff, but he was clearing out a bunch of Newton related stuff along with some other computer bits. And he said, free to good home. And he had like a MeshPad 2100 with a busted screen, and he had a bunch of disks and software and stuff. I just found this because I've got some saved searches in Mastodon to find these things. And somebody that I follow had asked for, he had a raw 2.0 ROM, which I don't need. But he also said, I have these other ones, and nobody was asking for them. So I said, well, I'll take one. And then, days later, he still had the rest. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you're just giving them away, I'll pay for shipping. Just send me all of them. So I've sent a couple emails to him just to get some follow-up information and see, like, where did he come across these? Was he a developer? Were these sent to developers, or did it just come with a big pile of stuff that he acquired somehow? I mean, that's how I got a lot of my Newton stuff, is just somebody said, hey, I've got a bunch of boxes of things. Do you want them? And I said, yeah, without looking at them. And you never know what treasures are in there. But yeah, these are a real curiosity, right? There's nothing in any of the, the developer newsletters or the old developer mailing lists that mentioned anything about a 1.4 ROM, other than for the Japanese message pads. So it's a neat little bit of history, and maybe we can, figure out what's different in this one compared to 1.3 or 1.2. You never know, but there's always something popping up, even how many years later. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I like it.
So anyway, yeah, and if anybody else is interested in one, let me know. But I need to beetle out of here. I've got some other stuff happening this afternoon. So
yeah,
that was a lot of fun, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.
All right. So 4 of us left.
Chance to take off as well.
Magnificent four. Magnificent four.
So P2 is not the Apple Industrial Espionage Group trying to figure out what we're planning.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I saw that today there came a mail that Apple changed their Apple Store App Store conditions, and we can actually publish emulators now. So
Yes.
at least
So
in
I
Europe.
haven't.
yeah, so you can
Yeah,
put.
I think it's Europe specific right now, but I'm
Mhm.
not sure.
Yeah, it is Europe because the European Union just force for that kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
it's just a Europe. Yeah. But
Frank?
Yes.
so can you with that current situation, can you put the Einstein on the Apple Store?
I think
Matthias?
Frank had an opinion. What you say?
Yeah, no, I just have a follow-up for James Elliott because, as you know, I have a huge Newton Talk collection, and I just found a mail from him dated June 13th, 2005, and he says, "I'll still be here. I still use my MP2100 to take seminar notes as nothing compares to it. My new PowerBook is nice, but nothing is like a Newton. I have also done historically all I could as a non-developer, lacking the amazing talent of some out there. I got the 2 how-to book out of print and released PDF files and so on, so on. Also, I do recall this name. He was pretty active at Newton Talk at one time.
Okay. Wow. I wonder if it makes it possible. I saw that they changed the rules that you can sideload stuff in the EU. So they have to allow developers to not use the App Store and go through other sources or other stores. But they made it really icky, and they're trying to be as nasty with the developers who do that as they can be. And
What a nice challenge.
Yeah.
typical Apple. I mean, they're so protective. I was in the US a week ago, and we actually had a chance to get the Vision Pro on, the VR glasses. And as great as the experience was, and as wonderful as the screen was compared to my Quest 3, everything's blocked. You can't even play a stereo video file if you find one. They said, oh yeah, the only content we have is from Disney, and they only released 6 movies for these glasses. And once you watch them, you're pretty much done. I mean, and
You're
those are even
joking.
locked in the Europe. So I said, what if I take glasses with me right now? He says, oh, sorry, they're going to be locked in Europe. So,
Really?
yeah. So it's completely silly, and they're doing this, and so I was hoping I could get in the App Store or next to the App Store or site loading, and it still seems to be quite difficult. But if I have a few days where my nerves are not stressed, then I'll see and write to them and see if I can get a developer account again and see if I can publish Einstein.
Remember, you need to pay, yeah?
No. I can still publish it for free, and then from whatever I take from you, I have to pay 30%.
So you don't need to pay for the developer account to Apple?
Oh
because
yeah, okay, that's yeah, but forget about
it's
that.
$100 or something like this, yeah?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they will
Yeah,
and they will
$100 here.
reject, yeah?
I will
Tell us when you will do it, we'll tip in, yeah?
I've spent $100 for much crappier stuff than that.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Well, at least by
Yeah, it
now
should
you
be
can use
interesting to see
Xcode
how
and
that
all
works.
these things. Their developer package without being a developer. It used to be different, and it was even worse during Newton times, which I think is one of the main reasons why the whole thing failed, because back then you paid. Back then it was 800 for the message pad, and another 1,200 for the developer kit for NTK.
correct.
I mean, how crazy is that? The hardware lives by the software you have, and charging people a simple developer 1,200. So I'm always surprised that there is software out there for the Newton, and I always wonder, like some of the games, like I don't think anyone spent 1,200 just to develop Battleship. I can't
No.
imagine that.
I think a lot of those things came late in the Newton lifespan when they had already made NTK freely available.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was a, like you said, it was a paid product for a very long time, but then sort of not when they canceled Newton, but close towards the end there, they made NTK available, and more people got into it.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
especially that time you couldn't, you couldn't reach that amount of potential customers like now, yeah. If you write now the catchy application, you can have millions, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and think about how
yeah,
difficult it was back then in the 90s. You had
floppy
to
disks.
have a floppy disk and connect over the serial cable and get this whole thing somehow into your. I mean, we still have today trouble to load
Yeah.
software to Newtons. How horrible it must have been back then. And I remember I bought one back then, and I was immediately frustrated because I was working as a software developer back then, and I couldn't do a thing. And I entered all my addresses, which are funny enough still there today in the original thing. I don't know what I do with addresses from 1994, but they're still there. And beyond that, I couldn't really do anything with it. And I only had a Windows machine back then, and so I couldn't upload anything. It was very frustrating. And yeah.
Yeah, that was
Maybe
for
that's
very
why I'm
patient.
behind it so
Well,
much now.
even Apple employees had that problem. I don't know if you know my story when I got my first original message pad. And I was at a developer conference at the time at Apple. And they gave away this message pad in the evening, and everyone got one, and Apple employees got one too. And the next day, everyone everyone sat in front of some Mac, and they all tried to get programs onto the thing or do anything with it, but it didn't connect because the Apple employees were not aware that you need a special cable for that. They just obviously tried a modem or a printer cable, which did not work. I found that very funny. Back at that time, I wasn't aware of that either. But when I learned it, I found it very funny that even those Apple developers didn't know how to do it. This is how you call proprietary. You cannot even use it yourself.
At least they didn't decide for SCSI cables.
Yeah.
SCSI
Yeah,
cable.
just
The
the
white
invention
one.
of USB, what that has done to the industry is tremendous.
Yep.
I thought that the Thunderbolt will kill USB, but not. USB is
Well,
more
'cause it
wider.
Well, I think that's mainly licensing, that the cost to license Thunderbolt from Intel is much higher than licensing USB.
Yeah, cheaper technology is more popular.
I mean,
yeah.
I think a lot of the Thunderbolt technology is actually available in USB 4 at this point, but it's just not licensed. So they just can't call it Thunderbolt. Like you can run eGPUs over Thunderbolt 4, or sorry, over USB-C 4 from like AMD devices. Yeah, it's bizarre, all the industry hoops they have to jump through for licensing and standards and
But
What's in the end what
with
killed FireWire?
Yes, exactly.
Which was a great standard. It was a lot better than USB in the beginning. And I remember I had a FireWire camera, and I could connect the FireWire hard drive to it, and the camera would copy the movie to the hard drive. It was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and the hardware, I think, for the Thunderbolt and FireWire hardware was more advanced, yeah, because USB have a host and different way how the devices communicate, yeah. Where the Thunderbolt, as I remember, is like a separate unit, yeah, so they can communicate both way.
Everybody can host, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was, and because of this, probably that was more expensive also from the user side of view, yeah. Like a look at the hard drive case. Yeah, USB is cheaper. Like a totally cheap. Yeah, Alibaba or AliExpress, £2, and you have case for the hard drive. Yeah, but if you want to something from like a Thunderbolt, so woo, going up. Yeah, yeah, but it was always VHS versus Betacam. Yeah, VHS won because was cheaper. Yeah, the
No,
technology was no.
no, they have won because they had another licensing scheme. People were allowed to build these things, and Beta did not allow this.
Right.
Just like Video 2000s. And if you do not allow other companies to build something like that, you have lost.
So it's the same like situation like with the USB versus Thunderbolt, yeah. Probably.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the video systems, I think Sony didn't allow porn on their cassettes, and that was their sudden demise of their system.
Right.
Right.
As if the man in the house had to decide which VCR to buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Actually, recently I play with this after a year's.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I found a few in a box in my college, a few of them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And what is great with this, they have a USB because that was like a more advanced, I don't know, this is recorder actually also, not only player. And they have a USB 2.0, but some guy create a website that you can connect a mini disc player, and the website have a kind of system that you can upload MP3s on the mini disc, or you can download existing music from the mini disc and save it as an MP3 on the computer. So it's so cool. I play recently with this, yeah.
Good hack, because Sony is as protective as Apple. So
yeah, but the website is just online, and you can, back and forward with the music. Obviously, MP3 will, decrease the quality, but it's possible to put even modern music
never
on the.
decompresses anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, it's working really nice. So yeah, old technology.
Remember memory sticks from Sony?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I have two still.
I'm gonna show you something. Another thing, it's not related.
I have an old
obviously.
Sony laptop that still has a plug for memory sticks, if I'm not entirely wrong.
I just dig out this.
Oh my God! Wow. What does that store on?
It's a QuickTake 200, so
Yeah.
the latest one. But unfortunately, I don't have memory card because this one needs a smart media card. But the 5 voltage, the cheapest one, because they were like a 2 and 4 megabytes only. That version, because later on there was another iteration like a 3.3 volts, but they are not compatible with this camera. The cheaper one, 2 megabytes of card, I found on eBay was £130. The card, the memory card, and I said no way. But I have also this one, and this one is super cool. The QuickTake 100.
Oh, yeah.
100 and have a built-in memory, so I can take 4 high resolution or 8 low resolution picture on this.
You can totally go crazy on vacation.
8 pictures, and the low resolution is 320 by 160 pixels, and the high resolution is 640 by 320. So, but I managed to do a few photos, and they are great, really great, like an old vintage Kodak, Kodak film, yeah, kind of orange stuff, yeah.
The smart media cards I know were in my first Rio MP3 player, and you could store like 8 or 12 songs or so on one.
Yes. That was cool. That was great. Yeah. That was great.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll finish, guys, yeah? for
Getting
today.
late in
Enough.
Germany.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Yeah.
So that was great. Thank you very much that
Oh,
you
thanks
came.
for organizing it. Wonderful.
That was awesome. So next month will be another one.
Okay.
And I'm slowly thinking about, organize like 2 years ago. That was the last one, WWNC. And yeah, definitely I will ask you, Matthias,
Okay.
to do the presentation, like how to make a simple program on Newton, because I think will be.
If I may make a suggestion, do not spend so much time on editing stuff. Just upload it.
Right.
He has to cut my bad jokes out. I mean, this is.
No, he hasn't. I like your bad jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're German, you get it.
Yeah.
I'm still shell shocked to a certain degree from the first Newton conference where Steve Wozniak was all of a sudden in one of the icon
That
images.
was cool.
Okay, and now I have to tell him something about the stuff I did.
Yeah. I don't remember, but we just chat and we just ignore that he's there, and suddenly someone said, guys, but Steve is here. I love that moment. Yeah, it's on video. Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah,
that was awesome. That was I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
People are always impressed when I say that I've once chatted with him.
Yeah. So maybe this year, yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna ask Noah to contact a few guys. Maybe they will join. Yeah. But the last one we organized, there was a few programmers also. Yeah, and people from Apple. Yeah. So that was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that
never
was cool.
actually I've never published that video, so maybe I'm gonna spend next week for this, because I just published 2 videos from the last conference and I have another 8 videos, but I've never did it. So maybe I'm gonna spend next week on this and I'm gonna upload that videos, because actually there is a few things. I still have a notes on my computer. Remove talk from kind of point to point, because there was a few discussions that shouldn't be public.
Yeah.
So I need to edit that and publish. But yeah, but anyway, maybe I'm gonna take a risk. Maybe Apple will not sue me.
But Frank, along those lines, I had we were chatting on some web list, and my other job is this FLTK, the computer graphics language that we're writing on. And someone asked me something and I give some snippy reply, I don't remember. And then someone through another channel said, you're just talking to the inventor of the language C++. Could you hold back a little bit?
That was good.
Like, oops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah. It's good stuff. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Very cool.
That was really cool. So see you next month, and and have a good rest of the evening.
Yeah.
All right.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Good to see y'all.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Bye-bye.